So, a week ago, we were kind of lamenting that DC Sports was going the way of DC Sports. The Caps were down 0-2. The Wizards were down 0-2.
Right.
But both teams have been tearing it up of late. Let's talk about the Wizards. What have they changed the last couple games? Obviously, Bradley Beal has played much better in games 3 and 4 after that 9-point performance in game 2.
Yeah, their all-star guards have played better than Toronto's all-star guards. And I think if you look at these last two games in particular, the Wizards have really tried to make sure that the other guys on the Raptors don't get going. The Toronto this year won 59 games, franchise record. They played a different way than they have in the past, and that was really based on trying to get everybody else on the team involved and not having the game become Lowry take shot after shot. And you look yesterday, those guys combined for 44 shots. I think nobody else on the team shot more than 7 times. And it just that is a formula that's bad for Toronto. And you saw at the end of the game, DeMar DeRozan was taking, one contested jumper going. Wizards were getting out on the break, and John Wall was, running it right into their defense and getting easy buckets. And, if the Wizards can keep that formula going on Wednesday when they go back to Toronto for Game 5, I like their chances of getting that win too.
And not just that, but they limited the Raptor bench to 1 3-pointer made. And obviously up there in Toronto, they were killing them off the bench, Miles and Wright and those guys. So that was huge too.
Yeah, no question. It all goes back to the same thing where they really tried to smother those other guys and not let them get going. Because in the first 2 games, like you said, C.J. Miles was making shots. They let that bench mob really get going for Toronto, and that really caused them a lot of trouble. Toronto hasn't had Fred VanVleet in the series so far. That's been a loss for them. He probably isn't going to play, sounds like, in Game 5, maybe not the rest of the series. But, yeah, no, that to me is the key. Role players play better at home. And, in Game 5, the Wizards need to limit those role players like they did the last 2 games if they want to get a win and have a chance to close the series out in Game 6.
Yeah, but here's the question.
It's really the stoppable force against the movable object with the Wizards and the Raptors, because these are 2 teams that you really can't trust. It looked like after the second game of the series that Toronto had finally, moved on from being a bizarre playoff team that played well in the regular season and then struggled in every playoff game they're in. And the Wizards kind of looked like their season was going to go the way it was going, but then the Wizards played great these last 2 games and, now have a chance to change the series. I actually feel better about the Wizards' chances than I would have expected, because now, to me, all the pressure in the series is on Toronto. They came into these playoffs, with the number 1 seed, a chance to prove that they're finally a different team. Now they games in Washington. They blow that game yesterday. They really should have won. Bradley Beal fouled out with 5 minutes to go. I was sure that was the end of the game, and Toronto was going to close this thing out. So, look, if there's any time for the Wizards to play, carefree ball and play well, it's, going up there for Game 5 with no pressure on them, with, that whole city ready for the Raptors to choke again. That's a perfect scenario for them to walk in there and get a win. But like you said, for a Wizards team that has not, has never really proven to be able to take advantage of a situation like that, it's going to be hard to count on them to do it. But I do like their chances. I think it does match up well for them that they're going up against a team that's got all the pressure on it, and they can just walk in there and play. After making that call, I'm sure they realized, man, that was a bad call. And so, they're going to let Brad do a little bit extra. But, at the same time, Brad could be mad about that call, but his 4th foul was a terrible foul by him. He had no reason to foul. I think it was Serge Ibaka. He ran into him trying to get a steal that he wasn't going to get. It was just a dumb play. If you're Brad Beal, you've got to be smarter than that and know, look, the refs are calling everything in this game. I got to stay in the game, because I'm the one guy that's really going for us, and if I get foul out, we're in huge trouble. So, look, that last foul was terrible. He wasn't trying to even touch DeRozan. It was, DeRozan didn't even see him. He just fell down and they called the foul. But, you can't put yourself in that spot if you're him, knowing how the rest have been calling the game. But, no, I wasn't surprised they did. I wasn't surprised they didn't call it technical, because it was a really terrible call.
I think the officiating has been dicey at best in this series and in some of the other games I've watched, some of the other series.
John the rim time and time again, and is so fast that I think sometimes it's hard to even see what happened. So I can give him a little bit of a pass on that. And look, the Raptors are kind of the same way. I mean, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan try to get to the foul line a lot. You know, and a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, goes game by game, right? Because all these refs aren't the same. And, you know, yesterday, right from the beginning, it was very clear that they were going to call everything in the game. And in other games, they don't really, like, I think in game one, they weren't really calling anything. It was just kind of a free-for-all, you know, for most of it. You know, but I do think that will be a big factor in game 5, how tight they do call things, because, you know, I think if it is a little bit more of a free-flowing game, it probably is better for the Wizards, because, you know, guys like DeRozan and Lowry, if they can get to the foul line a lot at home like DeRozan did yesterday, that'll really allow them to get into the game and you know, get off to a good start.